pizza pie, that's...
Well, ladies and gentlemen, this may be the last time I will play this song on the Savage Nation, because in light of the fact that there is talk of the Democrats using the rampage backlash to kill talk radio, I am preemptively going through the archives of all of my old rock and roll songs, and we're going to purge the library, the music library, of any song that could trigger a nut into a violent act. So play it up so they know what I'm talking about.
When the moon hits your eye.
Bingo, no more, never again, because he said when the moon hits your eye. Now think, if you're an unstable individual wearing a G-string and you've just gone into a photo booth with a Glock and you hear this song coming over the Walmart speaker system after you've bought your ammo, this could trigger a homicidal rage in you, so we're never going to play that. We do not want to trigger unstable individuals. We're not going to use the word targeting, aiming, bullseye. Anything of that nature will be banned from the Savage Nation, because we certainly want to comply with what's going on in America today. Right now we understand that there's a rush to protect Congress, so we want to help them. Feds race to protect Congress and stop a rampage of copycats. And I mean that seriously. I mean, that's an important thing to do. And there's no end to where the government could go with this, and I certainly want to make sure that I do my part in protecting our society from any act of violence. So we read right now that there's a manhunt going on from local police to the FBI, law enforcement agencies nationwide, especially those responsible for protecting Congress, are knocking on doors, interrogating suspects, and pouring through prior intelligence reports in the wake of the tragic Tucson shooting rampage in an effort to head off any copycat killers or other acts of violence. And they've started to arrest people, investigate people, interrogate people, and more are expected in the days to come in order to make certain that we don't see any copycats going on right now. So the fact of the matter is, this is a good thing. It's good for law enforcement to be preemptive, break down doors, take people in. Anybody who might be violent should be arrested by the FBI and asked questions later. And law enforcement officers always worry that one high-profile violent rampage could lead to others. I'm reading this article now. Asked to comment on reports that Capitol Police and federal agents are asking members of Congress to provide the names of any potential threats they're aware of in their districts, FBI spokesman William Carter commented to Newsmax via email, quote, "Over the last week, law enforcement at all levels has been actively engaging members and staff in Washington, D.C. to ensure all appropriate security precautions are taken in this current threat environment," emphasis on the words current threat environment. In other words, they've now generalized it from one mad lunatic who smoked salvia to a broad-based current threat environment. And so now security professionals around the country are breaking down doors in order to protect us. And it's very important. I think that they should create I think that Obama should create a private army right now. I think he should deputize the Black Panthers, for one, who should look for any potential threatening individual and arrest that individual, because the last thing you want is violence. And I think that we should have all of our liberties suspended immediately. You see? Just ask Clay Bowler, a grassroots conservative who lives near Springfield, Missouri. On Tuesday, somebody knocked on his door. It turned out to be the FBI. As first reported on a Springfield television station, Bowler was questioned about his exercise of his First Amendment rights and pointed questions he had asked about Rep. Billy Long, who was elected in November to represent Missouri's 7th Congressional District. The agent who visited Bowler this week was accompanied by the sheriff from a neighboring county, Sheriff Jim Arnott of Greene County, Missouri. Now listen to this. Bowler, who questioned Long's conservative bona fides during the campaign, told Newsmax that both the agent and the sheriff told him they had received a complaint from the congressman's office that he had confronted the congressman in a threatening manner. But Bowler said, "I never made any threats to the congressman. I'd never even been disrespectful to the congressman." According to Bowler, who says he videotaped his encounter with the agent and the sheriff Tuesday, both officers told him they were investigating a report of a threat that had come from Representative Long's office, and the Gestapo must get to the bottom of everything in this country, every report, no matter how minor. Bowler, who created an anti-Long blog that he took down after the election, tells Newsmax that the FBI visit was intimidating. He says he believes it was politically motivated as payback for his conservative activities. Fortunately, Bowler said he was able to show a videotape made blah, 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 blah. Now, there's another indication of a stepped-up government intervention to make sure that there's no violence in the country. As you know, there was a high school wrestling coach, Jacob Volkman, as a mixed martial arts fighter. He was suspended from his job as a high school wrestling coach at White Bear Lake High School in Minnesota because he made a statement about President Obama not too long ago. And the Secret Service came and knocked on his door, and they said to Volkman that you can't say the president is not too bright. And therefore, they suspended him from his teaching job. He has since expressed regret for his remarks. At Dix Hills, New York, a man was arrested Thursday at Newark Liberty International in New Jersey after allegedly threatening to kill SEC Commission and other financial regulatory officials. Well, that's a different story. A Palm Springs, California man was arrested Wednesday for making 2 expletive-laced threatening phone calls in the district of U.S. Rep. Jim McDermott of Washington. He allegedly threatened to kill the congressman, his friends, and his family. Well, that's serious stuff, and they, of course, should be arrested for those kind of threats. But you know what's going to happen. You know that the government's going to overreach. You know that out there they're going to use this now to suspend civil rights, although they're going to say they're not doing it. You know that right now there's a mass hysteria raging through this country, and you know that the illegitimate vermin on the left are going to use the rampage in a bid to kill talk radio, even though the homicidal maniac who committed the murders in Tucson, according to his own friend, never listened to talk radio. But that doesn't stop Representative Jim Clyburn saying free speech is as free speech does. And Representative Louise Slaughter, the New York, has expressed similar sentiments saying that the FCC is not working anymore. And she said Democrats and Republicans really talk about what we can do to cool down the country, Slaughter told TheHill.com. Part of that has to be what they're hearing over the airwaves. So Representative Slaughter knows more than I do about the First Amendment because I guess she has an inherent knowledge of the First Amendment that I myself don't have. It's true, I've written 25 books, I have a PhD and 2 master's degrees. I may not have the intelligence level of Representative Louise Slaughter, Democrat, New York. And so I think that we should defer to a representative from a small little district, a Sleepy Hollow district in New York, to tell us what the First Amendment means. I think it's very important that we have civility and decency in speech. In fact, Rhode Island Governor Lincoln Chafee, remember him when he was a senator? He said he's going to boycott talk radio appearances and ban all state employees from commenting to talk radio hosts. And then he said that he wants advertisers to stop advertising on our shows. My God, that's quite a jump, isn't it? So there it is. So now there's a jump now from the alleged act of a mentally unstable 22-year-old drug user who smoked marijuana, who smoked salvia, who we're now seeing the government leap in action, and now they're generalizing it, and they're trying to reimpose the unfairness doctrine, the fascist fairness doctrine. And so here we are. We're seeing it happen right away. So there it is. Even Al Sharpton, as you well know, he's an expert on free speech. He's a superbly gifted intellectual. Al Sharpton, one of the most brilliant men in America. He was actually invited to Obama's FCC this week in the aftermath of the shooting incident to pressure the agency to rein in free expression on the airwaves. And that's very important that Al Sharpton be the judge and the referee in this, because although he allegedly stated that a white detective named Pagonis smeared a young black lady in feces, which turned out to be a bald-faced lie, and although Al Sharpton allegedly egged on a crowd to burn down Freddie's Fashion Mart with a megaphone, we have all forgotten that. In the new America, we forget the past, and all you have to know is that Bill O'Reilly likes him and has him on Fox News, so therefore he is now the arbiter of what is fair on the airwaves. And I think that, frankly, I think that there'd be a special appointment by the Obama administration of Al Sharpton to oversee talk radio, because nobody knows what polite and kind speech is better than Al Sharpton. And I believe that an analyst like Al Sharpton, who has such a high education and such a fine, fine history of fairness, should be consulted. In fact, should be the new czar, if you want to go to the real level. That I think Al Sharpton should be made Obama's czar of the FCC, or no, the czar of talk radio. I'm sorry, I was limiting him. I think that Al Sharpton should become the czar of talk radio to make certain that there is fairness on the airwaves. Now, it is true he had his own show that no one listened to, which is, of course, why he's running to a big daddy government to see if somehow he can now become the czar of talk radio and maybe get a gig that way. And so, anything could happen right now. We have to understand that free speech is not free. And we have to understand that some individuals are freer than others to engage in free speech. And at the top of the list would be Al Sharpton. He has the right, he has the credentials, he has the education, he has the background, he has the history, he has the knowledge, he has the superiority of the oppressed, and therefore I am now I'm actually imploring the government, I'm begging the government to put Al Sharpton in as the czar of talk radio across America, because nobody better typifies my